So you got the thing that Amanda.
Folks, so why don't we get started?
What day is today?
Let me welcome everyone to our Tricentennial Committee meeting, and we're scheduled here on November 28th. As we're closing on the final day of the year 2023, which means we've got a lot of work to do and a lot of things have to happen. But I would like to thank ECAT, Eastern Community Access Television, for covering our meetings, which will be the second and fourth Tuesday of each month between now and when we get to our celebration year. I'd also like to thank Queeset House for hosting our meetings. They're very kind to make their facility available, and it is very much appreciated. So I guess we're ready to adjourn our meeting. Only kidding. So what I'd like to do first, as I call the meeting to order, folks, is to do some introductions. We know who's here. I think it's important for the people watching on Community TV Live, who you are and what role you play on the committee. We've done this many times. So I'll start it off. I'm Dave Clifton, happy to be chair of our anniversary celebration. 300 years, believe it or not, coming in 2025. Michelle?
I am Michelle McGee, your vice chair.
I'm Roz Miller, assistant secretary.
Diane Lusardi, secretary.
Anne Marie Taylor, event coordinator for first day.
I'm Dan Anderson. I don't have a job yet. I'm a little,
Yeah.
well, they're a little scared to say that because then he will give you things. But
Although you did volunteer for the anniversary.
I did say I would help on that
Gala
one. Yes,
committee.
that is correct. True.
Jamie Anderson, ditto.
And behind you?
Dave Spagone, local resident and very interested in the Tricentennial, and Michelle McGee's somewhat personal assistant.
And also our official musician. He played at our open house last time and will be playing at our open house on December 12th as well.
He was terrific.
Thank you, Dave.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome, Dave.
Michael Good, Marketing and Communications Chair.
I'm Chris Ventresco. I'm in charge of photography and the anniversary book.
Dale Carrister, Community Relations.
Ken Michael, Business Chair. Tom Hetzel, supporter and volunteer.
And Karen Hetzel, supporter and volunteer, local resident.
And
And Festival of Tree Design.
yes, Festival of Trees designer, and just in time to introduce yourself.
Oh, gosh.
Hi, Courtney.
And what were we saying about ourselves? I'm gonna do fundraising. So probably what I need to say? Okay, great.
And she's the fundraising coordinator for sponsorships. Again, I thank you all for being here. I think it's so important that we keep in mind that the only way this celebration is going to happen would be if we have a team approach. We still got some team members that are missing. I certainly hope that you folks out there that are watching, we could use more volunteers to participate in planning a giant celebration in 2025. We also are looking for fundraising. We certainly need money in order to pay for all the events that will be taking place. The first order of business is to approve the minutes of the October 24th meeting. Folks, you have a copy of it in your little packet that I passed out. We've made some amended changes that have been listed.
I don't think they're listed, actually.
Did
I
I-
saw some of them were listed.
I'm not sure I sent one.
So for example, like I'm not listed as an attendee. I did send some changes. Nora Yusuf had resigned previously. What else? So, and I didn't remember the regional being discussed for flyer distribution. How do we want to handle that? There's other ones too, like the tent is not at the DPW, right?
Wasn't it?
It is.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I made that clear at the last meeting.
Well, you said you were gonna
Skip
ask
your
Hayfield
name,
if you could
sure.
store it there.
He's all set with that.
Yeah. Okay. So,
I did skip your name.
yeah, and I think you skipped Dave as well, although he's mentioned.
Sure. David, I believe you were here.
I noticed that Michelle, she copied me in on, she sent a copy of red check marks of different changes that she recommended. I agree with some of them, I disagree with others because it should go
You can't
through.
disagree with changes that somebody heard at a meeting.
But to change the minutes for the right title for our state rep, our state senator that showed up.
I think
It's
I did
not
change.
changing the minutes, it's just changing a title. But I'd like to suggest that you write down your changes,
I did.
and by the end of the meeting, we'll vote on the minutes.
All right,
How's that?
Sounds good.
Okay. Let's move on the agenda, the chair's report. I have some good news I'd like to share with you, and I think it's good news for you as well, Courtney, because I've approached 3 potential sponsors. They all agreed that they like to contribute and sponsor events. They just didn't agree on the amount right now, but I'm gonna be working on those 3. And Courtney, I did pass out a copy of the sheet that you sent, and Ken had a chance to make some changes.
Pass out a copy of it, of this?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Does everyone have that? Are you?
Well, are we gonna do that now, Dave, or?
I'm gonna do that when we
If
come
I might
to
make a
fundraising.
suggestion.
Yes.
I think we wait on this because this is not yet complete, and it's not necessary to have comments on it tonight. There are a couple of open items, one of which will be resolved tonight with Dale's information earlier today, and once that's done, we can talk about it. Then that document will be complete. I've been working accordingly with it, so.
I'm flexible to do that. The only thing I want to suggest to Ken and to the committee is that fundraising is important. We have these events. We're getting closer to 2024. I don't mind waiting if we have to make some strategic.
It'll be done before the end of the month, number one, and number two, you have 3, I have 2. Fundraising, potential fundraising. So we're already moving down the road now. But I do think it would be better if we resolve this And part of what Dale has to say this evening, Dale and I have already spoken earlier today, part of what he has to say will help to resolve the question, the remaining question on this document.
And that's the fundraising document?
That's the fundraising document, yes.
That's a sponsorship document.
Excuse me, the sponsorship document is for fundraising.
Any other comments by committee members?
Well, I think sponsorship and fundraising is gonna be two different things, is that correct?
Yes.
It may very well be, but this document is asking for money. If you're asking for money, that's a fundraising document.
Yes, but I just
So-
wanna make clear that you are not interested in doing fundraisers, right? So we are gonna.
I didn't
use-
say I wasn't doing
I'm not
anything.
talking to you, I'm talking to
I'm
Courtney.
gonna use a name. Thank you.
I was looking at Courtney
I don't know who you're
and
looking at.
addressing
You're talking to
Courtney.
me.
Well, then look at me.
I am looking at you.
Then you should see that I'm addressing.
I did not
Courtney.
see you addressing, you were
Okay.
looking straight ahead, and you were talking,
No,
I had
I
been
said,
talking.
you are not
Fine.
interested in.
Let's turn our attention over
Yeah,
here.
I know. Just, how about them Red Sox? And I love that red outfit.
This is
Come on
something
in.
very intense
No,
right
no,
now.
no, just,
Which brings the meeting back to the chair,
we've just.
and I'd like to suggest that it's so important for all of us as committee members and as guests that join us this evening is to agree to disagree on some things that may come up. The bottom line is, we got a major celebration that's coming up in 2025. We all need to work together, and we all need to kind of cooperate with each other, but we don't necessarily have to agree with some of the changes that we might make. So on the table right now is the question of holding off on the fundraising sponsorship until we get things put together. And I'm only suggesting that we try to move as fast as we can on this so that we can start giving Courtney the go-ahead. She's the expert when it comes to fundraising. She's got a reputation here in the town of Easton. We're happy to have her on board. And we're also happy to have you, Ken, with the folks that you know in the community as well. So we'll put that off right now. And I did pass out material because I was hoping that we could close in on the finished product. Let me get back to the chair's report. I did meet with a fireworks company, Poly Technical, and I met with them at the Governor Ames estate. The fireworks company thought that it was a good site to shoot off fireworks. He loved the idea of the water being right next to the site. He's going to be able to put a barge out there. They provide the barge as part of the cost. The people will be on the land, and a boat and the barge will be on the water. And you'll be able to see it wherever you are in the community, especially as you close in near Main Street. We intend to have a band concert on that particular evening to entertain the folks, and we'll probably be talking about food as well as we get closer and closer. I have a second meeting with American Thunder. The fire chief and myself who are co-chairing the fireworks event. We intend to meet with another 3 fireworks companies. And Ken is involved because he's the liaison with Alex, who has made a suggestion a while back. Is that correct, Ken?
Well, it depends on what you're going to say, Dave. I don't know what you're going to say.
I was going to say that he has had interest in sponsoring fireworks. And Ken is our liaison right now. And I also understand that Anne Marie's husband is a friend of Alex as well. So our hope is to first of all find out, and the fire chief feels the same way, find out if the Governor Ames estate is doable. The fireworks company says yes. American Thunder will be with us next Wednesday, and we're going to be meeting from 10 to 12. And the meeting was originally scheduled at 12, but I changed that so the fire chief could be there. He's an important cog in this wheel. And Ken, I don't know if you're available on that particular day to join us.
I'll let you know.
10 o'clock? Okay. I thought that the idea of the fireworks is something a little different. I know the 75th anniversary celebration at Stonehill College, their fireworks got postponed to a later date, I guess. But we're looking forward to seeing this happen in the year 2025, and it's scheduled on June 14th, which happens to be Flag Day. We also have a chance to salute the red, white, and blue. The next item that I have under the chair's report, and I'm going to be brief because we've got a lot of business to cover here on our agenda. I did meet with Borderland State Park. I met with their friends, about 15 or 20, and they're on board. They're excited about including Borderland in the celebration. They would like to run a car show in October of 2025. They are going to waive the parking for the people who attend the park for all the events that they have during the celebration. They intend to put a float in the parade. They intend to put a film, I should say video/play on at the mansion. And I'd like to do it 2 or 3 different times in order to give more people a chance. Our good friend Ed Hands is in that video, and it's a video about Blanche Ames and how she was able to make some major changes for the women movement back then when they were trying to get women to vote. I did want to get permission from this committee to authorize any spending under $500. I've done this in other committees where the chair who checks out with the treasurer to see if we got money in the account first. But anything over $500 would come before this committee. I'm talking about the appointed members by the Eastern Select Board. They have been appointed to run the show, and I certainly would honor that, but I think that for purchasing something for a couple $100, we should be able to do it and not have to wait till the regular meeting. So I'd like to get a motion on the floor. Any discussion?
Just a question.
Yes.
You're looking for the committee to give you the authority to make purchases that are less than $500 without further express vote by the
I'm
committee.
looking for
correct?
this committee to approve,
For you to make those
motion,
purchases,
yeah.
right?
for me to authorize.
Right.
If somebody on the committee comes and they want to get something for $100, I don't have to wait till the end of the month when we meet.
So I make a motion that we approve that you can spend under $500 without committee approval as long as you check in with the treasurer.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Dale. Diane, the motion was made by Michelle. Any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion,
Can I,
say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand, the motion is carried. Anybody opposed?
Clarification, is it 500 or less than 500?
It'd be 500 and less. Anything over 500 would come before the committee.
approved by David, who will get it approved by the treasurer?
No, it would
Does
be
she
the
have to
chair
be
that would
approved?
approve it, but I would have to check with the treasurer, see if there's money in there to authorize or spend. Before I pass over to Michelle for the vice chair's report, I would like to introduce Brian Hoffman. He is a well-known person here in the town of Easton and is here tonight. And we appreciate whatever input he can give us in regards to the celebration. So welcome, Brian, and we'll get to you later on in the agenda.
And to your right,
Yes.
behind you.
To my right.
Oh, I've been here
She
before
snuck in.
though.
Oh, no.
Go ahead and introduce yourself. then.
Lisa Braxton, I'm going to work on the souvenir journal with the photographer. I
Yep.
don't know if you
That's me.
Roll him out now.
Give emails, you know how to find me.
Yes.
right?
And she's also a good neighbor. She lets my dog walk in her yard.
Our dogs are friends. They know.
Okay, I will now pass it over to Michelle for the vice chair's report.
All right, so I had sent this out to the committee about an hour, only about an hour ago, so I did make a few copies if you need to see it, but you can receive it in your email. I had made a suggestion to Dave that, you know, with 2025 closing in, that we not have major, huge reports like this, and maybe we should submit these reports 24 hours before the meeting so that you can read them in advance, just like the minutes. We come and we approve them, you know, any questions. But if you haven't had a chance to read this report, because I didn't do it 24 hours in advance, I'll just go over it briefly. These are the things that I've been working on since our last meeting. I've reached out to different authors and actors and people that might be interested in joining the celebration in 2025. Dr. Ethan Carr is a professor at UMass Amherst and is a professional on Olmsted and modern landscaping and landscape architecture. He just wrote a book called Boston's Franklin Park, Olmsted Recreation in the Modern City, and we just missed, unfortunately, he did a community forum on his new book. So I'm just going to pass this around so that you can get a little bit of an idea of what his new book is and what the talk was about, but it would be interesting to have him come and do that talk. Also, Jerry Wright is, and he is Frederick Law Olmsted. His email is frederickLawOlmsted@gmail.com. He has been a Olmsted impersonator for generations. I'm going to pass around some of the things that he has done. He has done something called Plant Yourself in the Park Day at Friends of Highland Park. He does something called a one-man play, Frederick Law Olmsted, and also some other things that he's done. I'll pass this around as well. Sent him an email. He is so interested in coming to Easton in 2025. Frederick Law Olmsted would have been 205 in 2025, and Jerry will be 91 that year. So he is really excited about coming out and participating. He's an Olmsted lover. And then Elaine Sears, who's an Easton Town member, reached out to us. She put a book together a few years ago through Holy Trinity Church. They had found some letters at the church written in World War II. So a group of people at the church decided to reach out to soldiers, and she found these letters and she wrote a book about it. She is proposing to make that book, which is called So We'll Meet Again, into a play, and she's looking for help from the Tricentennial Committee to advertise it, help find actors, musicians. She's got something in her mind. So Ed Hands was interested in working on that, so he and I are going to be meeting with her actually tomorrow. I just wanted to report that town meeting went very well. It was just me, but Roz and Diane in the background. And over 100 people came because we didn't have quorum. So many people, all the people took the information, and many of them said they had already heard about it. So super success. Congratulations, Tricom. I reached out to 2 trolley companies to discuss the possibility of using trolleys in 2025. Ed Hands has an idea of doing a couple trolley tours of local neighborhoods and such, but I also wanted to mention this to the Tricentennial Committee in general, that the trolley company is willing to work with us for the year. So if you wanted to have trolleys at the first day event, or we wanted to have them at the block party doing something there, if we want to have them shuttling people back and forth, if you want to have trolleys in the parade, we should try to make a plan to put all of these ideas together to present them as one package.
What about have you looked into alternative forms of transportation?
No, I mean, we can use any kind, like, there's lots of different things that we can use, this, just trolleys so far.
Okay. only, I can't remember, maybe it was Mark Lamb. Someone in the group was talking about the Council on Aging and their buses.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And what if we use that and that's free and we don't?
We are using they are gonna be providing transportation from off-site parking. But, we're talking about like trolleys in the parade or trolley rides during first day event, so less about transportation, more about like a tour or
Like a ghost tour, that kind of
a
thing.
ghost tour, yeah, something like that. So if we can kind of brainstorm all the reasons that we might use trolleys, and then maybe we can get different package deals, like if we want to use them 12 times, it's this much twice, or whatever. So if anybody has any trolley ideas, feel free to reach out. I also contacted the Smithsonian Museum. They have something called Museums on Main Street. So the committee is now signed up with a portal with the Smithsonian Museum. They have 3 tiers of things that we can use. One is they have already set, what do you call them? Displays? Exhibits that they can send out. None of them right now look like they quite meet the Easton Tricentennial theme, but we can certainly talk about it. They also will work with you to create your own exhibit, so they'll help you create the kiosks and all that kind of stuff. And they also have some free poster exhibits where they just send them out to you and we can make a gallery of things. So that's something that we can maybe put a few people on. I also reached out to the Ames company. I reached out to the CEO and he put me in touch with the director of marketing operations, and they are turning 250 next year. So they are very excited about that. They put together this booklet from their 225th anniversary, which I'll pass around. It has accommodations from Bill Clinton, Al Gore, Gerald Ford, and it's a beautiful timeline of Ames shovels. So I reached out to them and suggested to them that we work together. So Easton Tricentennial to support the Ames company's 250th next year, and then for them to support our 300th in 2025. So I'm going to ask them to be a capstone sponsor of our Tricentennial. I had a nice Zoom with Karen Richwine, who is the Director of Operations and Marketing, and we came up with some really great ideas. For example, in 2025, having some Ames executives come out and maybe do a groundbreaking with an Ames shovel, plant a tree with Ames shovels. They are looking to do a new logo next year, so we discussed our logo contest and how they might go about doing a logo contest, and we talked about that. So lots of good things on there. One of the things they were thinking about doing is doing some kind of tour. Their factory's in Pennsylvania, so thinking about doing some kind of tour of Easton where they have employees compete to get a kind of a free trip here, and we would sort of host them for some kind of event. So if anybody has any ideas for that, working on that. Then the other parts of this report probably belong under other people's reports, but we are such a cross section of a committee where everybody helps each other out. That I did mention that I did share with the committee that we do have a shared Google Drive, Easton 300, if everybody could start using that. It's a great way for everybody to be able to access the same documents.
How do we access that,
So
Michelle?
I should have sent you an invite, but I'll send it out to the whole committee again. But if you've ever used Google Drive, and if you haven't, we can talk about that.
Okay.
And that, right, so right now, I think there's,
I don't know how, I haven't looked at it.
that's okay. So that's a way we can, share documents and such. And when you use that, you can make them editable or not, depending on how you want to use it. Then under purchases, this was sort of like a treasurer's thing / marketing thing. I did reach out to Dave about getting approval for us to purchase 8 easels similar to the ones that Dale borrowed from the Lions Club for our 8 posters. I think that they'll come in handy over the next 2 years. And also, just throwing out that once the logo contest is complete, it's probably time to start making some things with the logo on it. And so I priced out a banner for our pop-up tent and some table drapes. One would be for a 6-foot table and one would be for an 8-foot table, and those prices are there, so we can kind of take a vote on that if we so choose. As far as like community relations and business relations and also some marketing, the holiday festival is this weekend, so I wanted to kind of kick that to Dale during his community relations report, if we could possibly have a presence there. And then the open houses that we have coming up, we can talk about that under community relations, but we do have one. I'd like to introduce, or you can introduce yourself.
How you doing? I'm Steve Shaw, I'm the commander of the Eastern VFW.
And the Easton VFW is our gracious host of our next open house.
So we'll be late for that one.
So thank you so much for having us on Tuesday, December 12th, where Dave Spagone will be playing. And you will be providing some food.
Yeah, right.
And it'll be a wonderful opportunity. That will be when we'll be announcing our logo contest winner. So that will be a nice one. And Dale and I are working with the Knights of Columbus to have an open house in the end of January that will be focused on community partners. Not limited to that, you know, public is invited, but looking to reach out to the community resources and then hoping to have maybe one in February for the businesses. Report on the logo contest, which we can talk about under marketing, is that we have about 10 solid logos that have been submitted. I'm going to pass these around. These are all ineligible submissions, either because they were just sketches that people said, you know, what do you think of this? Or they were under 12, or they were not from Easton. So just to give you an idea of.
You're going to exclude the children, is that what I'm hearing?
Not my rule. I thought it should be open to all, but you know, it does. We did discuss though the fact that perhaps we could do some note cards or a calendar or some kind of contest to have. I was even thinking some of these are so cute we could make them into a quilt. That could be a fundraiser or something like that. We can talk about how we're going to vote when we come to marketing. And then I just also wanted to mention that about over 3,000 copies of, I don't have the flyer with me right now, but Ken Michael very graciously made over 3,000 copies of, it was a combo of the logo contest, tonight's meeting, and the next open house. Went home with all Easton Public School students. I got an email today from Kristen Kelly, the art director at the Easton Middle School, and she has 3 classes worth of logos to submit there at the office that I have to pick up tomorrow. So that's it for the Vice Chair's report.
Michelle?
Yes.
Looking at this Ames commemorative piece, I've been thinking about those, you know, those series of books that come out with the sepia tone history and Paperback Junction. I'm thinking could there be a tie-in with them selling copies of that Easton historical picture book?
Interestingly enough, Easton does not have one of those. Really? If you go to, where I see those is at Good Days in West Bridgewater. If anybody hasn't been to Good Days, it's a great cheeseburger club. And they have all of those nostalgic books, and Easton does not have one.
I noticed in a bookstore there was every town, but.
So I'm not sure why. Ken Michael might know why. I know Ed Hans had some kind of a theory on that, but I think it has something to do with the publishing company. But perhaps we need to make our own.
It's the rights to the photos.
Okay.
Which is through the Historical Society, right?
Depends on the photos.
Yeah.
Are there some that we could access?
There's a bunch of them we could access. The question is, are they copyrighted already? In other words, who holds the copyright? That would only be the question. And I don't remember the exact reason, but I do know this was explored once quite some time ago. And I can't remember the reason that it wasn't done. But it may have had something to do with the copyrights on the photos.
I think that's what Ed Kim said.
I don't know. Can't quote it since I haven't talked about it.
But it's called Images of America.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. This is might be a good time to bring up too that there is so much going on in this committee that one of the things that Dave and I did discuss was perhaps in 2024 having more committee meetings and then, you know, bringing that report back. So it might be good to have Mike as the head of marketing, you know, kind of have a mini committee under him that is, you know, Chris and Lisa and, you know, have those meetings. And if we have things that we want to share, we can certainly go to them or we can bring them up in this committee, but.
Okay, we're gonna move on in our agenda. Thank you, Michelle, not just for your report, but for the homework that you did putting this together. Let's go to committee reports, and we're gonna start with our secretary. Our treasurer, by the way, came down with pneumonia, so
Did you?
she's
Oh,
sick.
sorry to hear that.
And we wish Jeanette a speedy recovery. I'm not sure if she's watching tonight, but go ahead, Diane. Diane, any report that you have?
Only that I did the minutes, I sent them to Roz, for approval, well, to make adjustments, changes, whatever. Then I sent it to Dave and Michelle. I thought I had made all those changes, and evidently I didn't send them to the committee after the changes.
Regarding the holidays?
I don't remember. I can't tell you now what they were. They were pages and pages. So, in future, I will make sure to send the minutes prior to the meeting. I thought I did, but I guess I didn't.
It's okay.
So you got them tonight.
We got your happy Thanksgiving though, so that was.
That was good, yeah, that was the bad part. And I did them right away. I do the minutes.
I know
within
you
2
do,
days.
like the next day. I know.
Yeah, it's, so they're done. So that's my report.
Thank you,
She
Diane.
usually does it on the car on the way home.
Who does the driving?
We share the drive, here's one.
You share everything the minutes and the driving.
We do. She's super. Roz is super. She checks everything.
Well, thank you, Diane, and
And
I
Roz.
guess we don't say it too often, the fact that you as secretary and your sidekick, between the two of you, you get the job done. It's not just doing the minutes, folks, it's also the amendments and everything that comes with it, plus posting and working around the town holidays. Let's go to our subcommittee reports, and Dale Carister, we're gonna start with you, Community Relations. I know you passed out a document you want people to look at.
Right, so working backwards, Michelle and I had touched base and then and coordinated, and Michelle reached out to the Knights of Columbus, and I believe we're confirmed for January 20th, Saturday morning. We decided to try something a little different so it's not interfering with people's work week. And there will be donuts and coffee served, so that will get folks there.
That's on Saturday, January 20th at 10 a.m. at the Knights of Columbus.
Oh, okay,
And this
thank
one
you.
is geared towards community groups.
Okay.
Right, so it's for those who don't know, it's located on Route 106, sort of as you're heading west on 106 going towards Bridgewater.
And they actually like to be called the Hall on Foundry.
So, yeah, I guess they, for their own functions, they refer to as Knights of Columbus, but for everything else, it's the hall.
Yes.
And the focus of that meeting will be for the community organizations. So whether it's groups like the Lions or it's churches and synagogues and We Do Care and all of the other wonderful groups we have in town, we're going to be inviting them to attend and to work towards how can we best enable them to help us create and share in the celebration of the 300th anniversary. And toward that end, and using some materials that Courtney had provided, I think from the Falmouth 300th anniversary, I used that as a template, which I sent around by email today, and then also hard copy. And I think a couple folks down here don't have a copy of it yet, but let me, there's 2 extra ones. I have created some written materials, a little word dense. My expectation is that we ultimately will create a separate page on the web page for this, having information about the Community Partners program. And then ideally, if we can, the second sheet, which has 2 pages to it, is basically like an application or information form for any of those organizations. So by way of example, if Children's Museum is doing their event in 2025, to have them do a tie-in with Easton 300, and if they provide information to us, we can give them the okay to use the logo, we can put them on the calendar and list this as one of the activities. So effectively what we're trying to do is have a kind of a grassroots effort, because we have so much stuff going on that we're doing the signature events. We're just trying to enable all of the other organizations out there off and running and to help us celebrate. So the purpose of this information sheet is to talk a little bit about what our mission is and what are some of the benefits that might accrue to folks who participate in this. And so what I'd like to do for tonight is, since folks are just getting the opportunity to read it, is if there are major things about this program you'd like to discuss, let's discuss them tonight. If they're editing issues, I would suggest shoot me an email. And ultimately what we'd like to do is to get this finalized before the end of the month so we can start getting it out to those community organizations. My intent is to send this out both in a mailing, so we put together something like in a flyer type format to send to those organizations, and also do electronically, and then ideally call some of those organizations and encourage them to come on the 20th, and otherwise we can meet with them and help them get up and running. So if you have major issues about what we're doing here, let's discuss them. If they're editing issues, shoot me an email, and then we can talk, and then perhaps at our next meeting can approve that.
So Dale, we can put this application on the website. In fact, most of our logo applications have come through the website, so you can have this on there where you don't need a hard copy or an email.
Sort of like a
copy.
PDF fillable form, something like that?
Yes,
Perfect.
that's number one. And number two is, what do you need from us as far as like, I don't know, what organizations do you just want us to free-form email you like Tempo and like, how do we make sure we cover them all?
I've started compiling a list, haven't completed that process. The idea would be to have that ready to go shortly after the new year, so that we have effectively our mailing list together, and ideally both, email as well as written address, so we can get materials out to folks. So, the more the better. So, people who have contacts at particular organizations, just shoot an email to me, and I can put this into the master list. We'll distribute the list, and then folks can determine if we're missing somebody. I gotta think we must have some resources within the town itself, the town offices, where they're keeping track of those kind of organizations as well, the nonprofits and so forth.
Wendy has a question.
Do you have an amount just in mind for the mini grant, like what the max might be that we give to an organization?
I'm glad you asked about that, because this was a late-breaking addition after Ken and I spoke earlier today. So the mini grant was something I saw on that Falmouth 300 thing, the program that they were doing. And we wanted to tie in, and I'll let you and Ken address this, but on that portion of your sponsorship program, we were talking about sort of the community sponsors. And what our thinking is that we can encourage folks who want to do a sponsorship where they're making a donation, so call it $5,000 or something less, towards a community mini grant program. And those monies come in, and then we sort of determine how they best are used to support some of those other organizations who are doing an activity tied to the 300.
So for example, Elaine Sears's play, for example.
Could be, right,
Okay.
Absolutely. So the idea is that we're looking to the organizations to provide this grassroots effort to help us celebrate the 300th anniversary, but we're also seeing other ways in which we could help support. And the sponsorship funds that would come in would kind of go into this pool for the grant program. We haven't drilled down in terms of any details, and I suggest maybe you, Ken, and I talk, and we can kind of figure all that out. So that's the gist of that. And then, Michelle, you had reached out earlier today in response to the email I sent to talk a little bit about the holiday festival coming up for the Lions. So I hadn't reached out to them yet, but we're having a Lions meeting tomorrow night, so I can reach out to them to see if we'd like to have a presence there for the holiday festival.
And what you suggested was good. What was that suggestion?
Yeah, so I'll be in Cleveland for the weekend, but coming back Sunday afternoon. But we have two possibilities. The largest concentration of folks we get, from the holiday festival, it's separate and apart from the rockery, but that'll be nighttime, so not a good idea, is when the Rain Dog Parade sort of comes in. I think it's scheduled to leave from over on Main Street from at 12:30, somewhere thereabouts.
Yep.
If we wanted to either have a table set up Or at the very least, we could ask the folks in the ticket booth, when folks are buying tickets, if we have more handouts
Oh,
to do it, because that way you're covering people, so I could, if we have that, I'd be happy to take or get access to that and then provide it to the folks who'll be working in the ticket booth, so that as folks are coming in, we can give them a little handout and so forth, and maybe even have a sign-up sheet for any folks who are
Now,
interested in
Dale, where are
volunteering.
you gonna be in Cleveland in case we need to reach you?
Oh, no, you don't.
ping pong. I think my guy's name
Yeah,
Well,
I'll
Mike-
be at that event, at the Rain Dog Parade, so.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'll be with my dog, but I can definitely, I think Kim's coming too, so I could definitely hand stuff out or just bring the stuff there or whatever you guys
I think you might have your hands full.
Yeah, I mean-
Children and dog, yes.
are. She's a good, well,
So Dale,
the kid more than the dog.
do you think we should just provide material, or do you think we should set up a table?
So here's my way of looking at things, Jenny, for a lot of these events. I'm sort of mindful of, being respectful of everybody's time on things. And so I'm trying to leverage our time for a lot of these events, getting words out to community organizations and so forth. For something like this, I think it would be great to have something in the ticket booth and just have, as available for folks to come. If somebody's interested in coming down for a couple hours as well, for example, when, on Sunday when the parade comes in and there's a lot of folks milling around, by all means, we can bring an extra table, but I'm just sort of mindful of not imposing on folks' time to do that. I think that the best thing to do is have the flyers and the other information at the ticket booth, because everybody who's buying something for food, rides, whatever, will see our information.
Is that televised? That, it is?
I don't know if it's live, but it is televised.
Do they put banner ads or any information on that?
Well, that's a great question. We can ask ECAT.
I don't think so, as far as I'm aware. But
No. No?
Oh.
Anyways, under your category, we got Festival of Trees.
which I know nothing about.
Yeah, I don't know how it ended up there, but.
That's me and Diane. So our tree is number 24 in the Festival of Trees at Eastern Country Club.
Nice.
It's in the book, in the little book, if you get the book, but it's every weekend, so this weekend coming up, and actually during the week, there's all kinds of other workshops and whatever people can sign up for. But our tree, I have a picture of it.
Great.
That I didn't send to the committee, I forgot. Yeah, but it's number 24 Easton's Pass there, and so if you go to the festival, it's in the back, and the back's a little side room of the, where the bar is.
It's at the
and
far, it's at the
behind-
far end to the entrance of the side room, or the exit if you come in. from
Yeah,
the
so
front.
it's, the fireplace is here, and it's like on the other
Oh.
side of the fireplace, so it's in a good spot. I think it came out well.
I would
It
like
did.
to, I saw
It
it
did,
last
I
night, and
saw
I
it.
would like to
I
say
saw
that
it
Karen
Sunday.
did, Karen
And I
and
tried to
Diane
make it
did a
look
great job on
old
the tree.
fashioned, like nothing
You
sparkly.
did a wonderful
Yeah.
job.
Or anything.
Yeah, if we can get a picture, we can put it on the website.
Okay,
Yeah.
Please.
I'll send it to you.
Awesome.
I think I might get a better picture on Friday. 'cause-
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe
that-
Chris can get a picture of it.
Yeah, oh, that's right, Chris,
But
yeah.
it's really, it's pretty cool. I volunteer at that event as well, but it's really.
Dance time?
Yeah,
Dance
Meeting's
interlude.
over.
But I think it'll draw some attention. I put a sign-up sheet below the tree, as well, so if people wanted to volunteer.
Oh, that's a great
I
idea.
used one of the
Thank you.
rack cards and made my own little sign-up sheet. With
Awesome.
something there, so. it's
That's
there.
great. Do you think that we need to do a motion to have anything printed for the holiday festival on Saturday? Do we need rack cards or?
Well, I thought you wanted to get additional red cards.
And I thought we got to revise them for the next printing.
We did
So-
revise them and they went in the bags.
They were in the
yeah.
bags. They were at the marketplace on Sunday. I
Were they
believe.
500?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So do you think we should have them printed for, it's a large
Well-
turnout, isn't it?
Well, that's what it does. I don't know what the changes that were made on the rack cards. but
I
if we-
can show you.
If we already have existing rack cards that get the message out, let's throw them down there. I mean, if you give them to me, I can give them to the Lions.
We do have existing, but I don't know that we have enough. That's what I'm
But if
saying.
500 went into the bags and everybody that walks in gets a bag,
It was at the marketplace
At the
is when they gave
marketplace?
it out. I volunteered the other night and they weren't giving them out then, so I think they gave them all out.
So the new-
Marketplace day. They had the busiest day
Oh,
ever
Really?
on Sunday.
So the
early
new
part of the
rat
day.
card is white instead of blue, because people said that they couldn't really read it. And instead of check boxes, it has the icons for what it is, like a fireworks icon, a bonfire. And I think the back's pretty much the same, so.
Are we gonna be sent that electronically?
You can have it electronically, yeah.
Like the other ones we were able to provide feedback on?
These have already been printed. 500 of these have been printed for the Festival of Trees, what do you call it? Goodie bags, right? Is that what you call them? No, those are the old ones. So the new ones are white, and they have the icons instead of the check boxes. I think the back's pretty much the same. But the question is, do we want to have these printed for the holiday festival?
At 50 cents a piece, I think it's too much. I'd
My-
rather see a flyer or something. I mean, 50 cents is a lot, and people are gonna get them in 2023 and maybe not keep them. It's
Yeah, my
meant to be a
suggestion
save the day.
would be if you have even just the old style, if
Yeah.
we have extras of the old ones, let's put those down there. And
Use
if we have
those.
any other flyers that we can put down, maybe just
We
print
don't have any
extra.
flyers right now,
So, well, I thought we had a flyer that we were using to.
Not right
Turn it over.
now, but
Okay.
we do have an open house. I don't have any printed, I should say. We don't have any printed.
What about the flyer that's on the wall over there?
Well, that's old, but,
Oh,
yeah,
it's got
okay.
a meeting from October on it.
Oh.
But
But something like that would be,
yeah, that can be done for
Probably a lot
certain,
less
and also,
Cheaper.
Yeah.
we also, have the flyer, I wish I had one with me. The flyer of the open house. It looks like the last open house one.
So if you have one, like notifying folks about the December 12th open house,
That's
that
what
would
we
be a
do.
great one to have
Perfect.
there.
Yeah, it
Perfect.
doesn't have any of this information.
That's fine. I think just
Yeah.
get the word out.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
let's take what we have and make some extra copies, and
yeah.
But
if I can get
now,
access to that, I can give it to the
the
Lions.
names are different on here than what you asked me to use
On here,
right now.
this is old.
But see, we haven't seen the new version to know that,
Well, it was voted on at the last meeting, so
But not the new version.
the names of the events were voted on
that's
at the
fine.
last meeting.
But we haven't, we don't know if they're on that new version.
They are, I put them on there.
As they're different, does it say town bond?
No, it says whatever we voted on at the last meeting is
Okay.
wit's on there.
Does anybody have the new one here by any chance?
I think we should.
I just showed it to you.
A hard
it's-
copy?
If we're all distributed, if it's being distributed, I feel like we should all see it.
It was sent out.
No one saw it.
No, we didn't.
Well, it's the same thing, it just is the correct names. It's white in the background.
I need to see it.
Okay.
No, like,
If you have it on-
is it possible to email, sorry?
If
Yeah.
you have it on your phone,
Yeah.
why don't you read them off, just so we go down and make sure.
Oh,
they're
good
all-
idea.
Okay, first day celebration, arts and culture weekend, town picnic and fireworks, parade and block party, town bonfire, anniversary gala ball.
Are all of them preceded by Easton 300?
Yes.
Okay.
And we don't, like for Easton 300 bonfire, I thought it was just Easton 300 bonfire, not town bonfire.
I don't know, can we pull up the minutes and see what we voted
Well,
on?
we can check on that, but
We could, sure. Let's see. Did we say it on
You know, what
there?
we probably should do is to send everybody on the committee a copy,
Mhm.
the new version.
Right. And I will show you the, what do you call it?
And
The,
we called it Arts and Cultural Weekend. But did you say culture?
In the
That's what
minute,
it says on here.
in
I
the
don't know
minutes,
what
it
was
says
voted.
Arts Weekend.
Arts weekend it got changed, I think cultural got added by someone.
I have no idea.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the next agenda item, and,
Can I put in the minutes that
Sorry,
you're gonna
I
say?
have to leave the proceedings. I have to go to my
Yes,
son's
thank you,
jazz
Jay.
concert.
We will talk to you, but see you on the
I'll see you on, everyone on the 12th.
I'll see you.
Thank you,
Bye.
David.
Thank you.
So for the minutes, we'll say Michelle will forward the new,
Rack.
Everyone, not Michelle. She go to everyone.
yes,
The committee.
I will send it to the
Yes.
committee.
She just got me.
This was the, and this is the same, this was the thing for the open house, the last open house. This is the new one. It looks just like the old one, but it has the new
And
information.
you're sending
okay,
that
could
over.
send that one too.
Yeah.
Michelle and I will work out the details after the meeting.
Yeah,
So
I'd
is
like
it,
to move on in our
but is this
agenda.
what do you want, what do we want for the festival? Named, so we can get it named. What did we decide on?
So do we have an
We
existing
had a couple-
flyer that identifies the upcoming open house in
That's this
Central?
Yeah.
So is there any reason not to use that one?
Exactly, that'd be
Right.
perfect.
Is there, I just wondered, is there a reason why the top is in black and white and the bottom's in color?
No,
What-
there's no reason.
what is it?
I think we need like a branding, like a,
So that's.
Well, that's why we need a
Wait
logo.
till we get to that.
not just a
Yeah.
logo, but like, see how this is, and I don't know, and I'm just saying, like there's a set color and a set, just so that we have, you know, guidance to,
Yep, we
To
haven't done
follow.
anything like that.
Yeah.
We can make a branding kit, we'll talk,
That's what I wanted to talk about.
Okay,
so.
great, like a
That's-
font and
that's a
a,
good-
yep,
that's
or
good.
2 or 3 fonts that we use, colors,
Okay,
Pantones.
yes, yeah.
so you'll send it to everybody and then we'll review it, the committee will review it.
There's no, I mean, it's this weekend, so do you
So for
wanna,
the
what do
purposes
you wanna
of the
do?
weekend, I
Yeah.
think we should just print out the simple flyer, the
Gotcha.
paper, save the money, and then
Okay, so how many of those would we like?
10,000, I don't know.
No, I think just a few hundred would be fine. Not
Okay.
everybody's gonna take one. I
No.
mean,
And you're fine to get it to the Lions Club, like I said, I'm.
yeah, I just have to do it no later than Thursday, because I leave for Cleveland Friday morning.
And so the question is, can you do that for us?
Can I do, what do you mean, Friday?
Or Saturday?
Yeah, or even
He-
just,
He needs them. When do you need?
so, or even just dropping them off at the festival on Saturday,
Okay,
sometime Saturday morning.
I've got the,
That would give more time.
who's gonna be there? Maybe I better coordinate with somebody. If you're not gonna be, if you're gonna be in Cleveland, you gonna be on
I'm
the
going Sunday.
I'll find out who will be, I'll find out who'll be
Is
handling
John
the ticket
Morgan gonna
booth.
be there?
John Morgan will be
All
there,
right.
yeah. Yeah, he's coordinating the holiday festival and he'll be there.
Yeah, I know.
I'll find out who will be in the ticket booth
Yeah.
as well.
Okay, because either John or whoever's in the ticket
Those are
booth.
the
Yeah.
details.
I could
Okay,
do
so we're
that.
printing.
Yeah, that'd be
paper.
great,
All right,
thank you.
yeah, how many
You guys
copies
got
do you
it.
figure you need?
So, you know,
300?
I think 300 would be fine. If we run out, we're fine. That's not a bad problem I have.
Thank you, Ken.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. Don't thank me, it isn't done yet.
I'll hold off on the thank you, please.
There you go.
Let's go to the next item on the agenda, and that would be Ken Michael. We couldn't have a better guy handling the
All right,
business.
David.
Ken could not be here
That's
tonight.
right. Couldn't make it. The nice guy couldn't make it, so we sent his alter
So we
ego.
sent that other person.
He sent the other guy.
Go ahead, Ken.
Okay, so on the business side, basically I've been working with Courtney on the sponsorship fundraising document. As I said, there was an issue on that. I'll let Courtney address it if she'd like, but I think Dale has solved the problem for us, which had to do with the community event sponsors and what was gonna happen. Dale and I talked about that this afternoon. Secondly, I've been working a little bit with a couple of potential donors. One donor, I've been aiming for 25,000, the other donor 10, and I think they're both gonna be committed, but neither have committed as yet. I strongly think they will, but
It's great.
when that happens, I'll let everybody know I have a firm commitment. The other thing is, as I've said before, I plan to kick off visiting various businesses starting in January. I have in fact scheduled an appointment with one of the local banks, which has been not canceled, but simply rescheduled, so I haven't had that yet. So that's pretty much my report.
Need any help, Ken? with
No,
the
not just yet,
businesses?
no, not just yet.
So
Okay,
I have a question. Under the business, and this might fall under fundraising, I'm not sure, but,
They're gonna overlap.
right, is the, actually number 7 on the list, which is the cookbook update. I know there was, so Diane was gonna lead the cookbook, committee, and there was talk about involving local businesses, restaurants, recipes and such. Is that something we should probably have a separate
That's a
meeting about?
separate meeting.
Okay.
I have
That's-
notes.
Yeah, I
I'll
would
give
say
you.
that's a separate thing.
Okay, good.
Any other questions of Ken? Okay, moving along. It's time for us to talk about fundraising, Courtney,
Courtney.
the sponsorships.
Well,
Um,
I think we already did, so I think I'm gonna pass and move on to the next person, because we already had that at the beginning. I'm just in a holding pattern. It is a work in progress. We have more edits tonight. It's been a journey.
It does say 7 events.
That's right.
Okay,
Because if you combine, the picnic and the fireworks should be one event.
but they're not.
They're on the same day.
So is the block party and the parade.
I know. But the idea is, on that, is a limit of the number of events. So if you're gonna have them the same day, you might have the same sponsorship.
We need 2.
We may. So, but we can work on getting 2, even if it's 7 events, or even 6 events,
Right.
we call it. You're still gonna be looking for the sponsorship. So that's why I think it's easier to say it that way. You might get the same sponsor for both events.
That would be great.
You know?
Yeah.
That's why I'm looking at it like that.
So you think it'll be either 8 or 6?
I think right now, going to what you were just talking about, it could be, it's 7. We could combine the July 4th parade and the block party as one. I think those 2, since the parade is one distinct activity, and the block party is separate in different parts of the town, it's gonna be neighborhood block parties. I think those are more amenable to being 2 separate, whereas the picnic and the fireworks are gonna be pretty much, as I understand it, unless I'm wrong, in the same place. Although one's following or one will be
Yeah,
coinciding.
no, that's
with the
correct,
other.
but the parade and block party are in the same place too. That's
I thought they were gonna be neighborhood block parties.
that's a different,
Different.
Okay, then, my mistake.
We did
That's
discuss
okay.
that.
Originally, it was
I thought we discussed that.
8 signature events on 6 days.
Right,
And
but we got the 2, the picnic and the fireworks at the same place. So
So
that's why I thought that would be better for one.
before we move on, Courtney, what can we do to give you and Ken the approval to finalize this document? Is there anything else you need from us? So can we authorize them with Dave's approval just to, so this is done, so they're not waiting for an additional meeting? Because we want to be off and
The
running.
one point I want to make there is that we'll incorporate the point you and I discussed, which is community sponsors. It'll be a community grant sponsor, because you can't really go to a sponsor and say, hey, donate X, you're gonna be in a community event, and then try to pair them. You're better off looking at it, have a sponsor for a community grant sponsor, take the money out of that fund and give it to each of the community organizations as needed, different amounts, different times, etc. So that was the discussion today. And I think that answers the one major question that we had, Courtney and I had in discussing the sponsorship fundraising document.
Because my sense is we should just let you guys go off and running and say you can, without, right?
Yeah, we're pretty much done, I think,
Okay.
except one thing I just want to bring up is that I think on the events, we do have some inconsistency. We're calling some things Easton 300th, other things Tricentennial. I think we should say Easton 300th right down the list on all the events. You know, that's your major logo, if you will, with 300 up in the corner there. And I don't think we should be calling them different things.
I guess the question I have to Ken and Courtney, should we be calling the $15,000 category a signature event?
yeah.
We know that the 25,000 category is a signature event, but there may be people who feel that they can't handle 25,000, will do 15.
Yeah, I thought of that too. But remember, what you're talking about here is really a triangle. When you look at the fundraising and you look at the names of the donors or the sponsors, whichever you want to call them, you got a triangle. you've got, at the top of that triangle, the point of the triangle, you've got your $25,000 donor. As you're coming down, you can have a 15 on either side, 10s, 5s, however you want to work it down. And having only 2 signature event sponsors in those categories, I think makes a lot of sense. Because you're right, some people are only going to be able to do 15, other people may do 25. It's all going to go along like that. In fact, as I was thinking about it before, although I don't want to change it now, I might even have said that the 10 should be up there as well. Again, they take a lesser position in each one. You know, so to speak, we always talk about the rainy dog or the rain dog parade. All right, well, the big dog is going to be the 25,000 at the top of the
top
pot.
3 are major donors when you think about 10, 15, and 25.
That's right.
But talking about the 25, Courtney, I know that you have some contacts that might be very helpful in us getting signature events paid for. Don't you need the opportunity to start as soon as possible? Try to prepare it and,
Not if it's not correct.
yeah.
Then the donor's upset.
Yeah.
I agree.
Can't change it.
Yep.
And you could mess, and they're at the top, so, and you go to the biggest first, so you just have to be right, has to be right.
That's right.
And I think it's difficult to do it at a committee meeting once or twice a month. I'd like to see the homework done in between the meetings.
Well,
Even if it means 3 or 4 of us getting together and let's say the job is done.
We
Well,
have had
we-
4 meetings in between
Yeah.
the last
we,
meeting.
we're at a
We
point,
have to change
Dave, we're at a point
We don't
where
wanna meet.
there's no necessity for a meeting. The only changes will be with the community sponsor, just wording that correctly. So it's grants, community grant sponsors. And then, as I just said a moment ago, I think the only thing you may want to vote on it is the change from Tricentennial and some of them to Easton 300, just to be consistent across the board. So those are really the only 2 things left.
I have no personal problem with that.
Well, I think the latter thing that you said, we should take care of tonight.
That's what I'm
I mean,
saying.
the sooner you
Yeah.
start to brand something with the correct names and we all start using them, the better. So I don't see any reason to wait any longer on giving these things a name.
That's what I just said. That's what we
Right.
should deal with tonight.
So I'm gonna make a motion that you revise, for the branding purposes, your sponsorship sheet to identify each of the events, starting off with Easton 300.
Amen.
So,
Is that a second?
We got a motion on the floor, folks.
So
We got a
it's,
second by Courtney.
all right, so
That didn't count.
that will be Easton 300,
All of the signature events will be entitled,
Easton 300
300.
first day,
yep.
Easton 300,
Arts
do
and
we
Cultural
like
Week.
arts and cultural weekend?
I thought we had already made that decision previously, but it sounds.
But,
sounds fine
and
to
is
me.
it cultural or culture?
Culture is good.
Does that-
Don't do it.
All right.
So we need to have, I would say cultural, wouldn't you?
Cultural,
Yeah.
but I think on the version when you read it, the newest rec card is
Yep.
culture,
And
but
we
in the
can always,
future will.
and the
You can
next
change that to
rec card
cultural.
can change, I mean, this is a work in
You change it
progress.
there.
Yeah.
So it's no longer the Tricentennial Town Picnic, it's the Easton 300.
Easton 300 Town Picnic and Fireworks. We put them in like that.
So we're gonna take out Tricentennial for fireworks and make that
Yes,
Easton 300 fireworks.
correct.
And same for the parade.
Well, just before you move on, I think there's a little difference here. You're talking about merging the 2, right? And Michelle, you were talking about 2 separate?
It is separate.
Yeah, but they're on the same day and they're in the same place.
But they're separate.
Yeah.
They're separate events.
8
completely.
events on
You
6
decide who
days.
takes them
Right.
right, unplugged.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor. We also have a second.
So we're gonna take Tricentennial out of all of these?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion,
Aye.
raise your hand. All those opposed? It's unanimous
Nice job.
for those in attendance.
The only other question I have on this is, can we remove the words signature event sponsor from Ames? Because they're not. That's what Dave was saying earlier.
No, is that what you're saying?
What are you looking at?
Take out signature events, take out the word signature events
Right,
from
because
any
the only
sponsor?
people who are signature event
Okay,
sponsors
That's
are.
funny, the
Okay.
15,000.
Fine.
25.
25, I got it,
Okay.
only the 25, yeah.
Okay.
I got it.
So you're taking it from Ames, you're crossing out signature.
Taking the word signature event
Got that,
out, those
Secretary.
two words.
Listing them.
Okay, let's go to
Yes,
marketing and communications. Mike, good?
Oi.
So
I know you got the logo contest and you've got the, go ahead.
Yep, so the logo contest ends the 30th, so you have 2 more days to get your entries in. It sounds like you have 10 at least.
Well, I probably have 15 now.
Okay.
I knew this would happen, right? Like I said before, like you'd write in your college essay, like
Yeah,
I'm not
last
sending
minute.
it 2 weeks before, but if I find the perfect quote the day before.
Right.
There were
So,
some
yeah.
great there were some great logos.
There were some good,
Oh,
yeah.
good.
Yeah, they're creative.
Yeah.
And these are non-eligible submissions.
So.
These are the non-eligible.
Right.
Those are, all right, so in terms of those that are eligible and what that pile ends up being, the last day to submit is the 30th.
Right.
Logistically, one of the things I just want to make sure I'm understanding, we're all on the same page with is, so the cutoff happens, when are we and how are we voting and selecting that? Because we're announcing it at the next open house, so where?
So that's something we probably
Okay.
should discuss tonight. So what I have done is I have taken each person's application
Mhm.
and put on their application their logo.
Okay.
Then I have removed the logo itself, and I have created a Google Drive that says submission 1, submission 2. And I also made a Google Photos drive that just has the pictures of every logo, and they are designated submission 1, submission 2. It was my feeling that because I am collecting these, that I would remove myself from this, and I would submit to the committee members all of the submissions. And because we didn't want to do this in public, what I was going to do is I was going to send you all of the submissions, and you rank the submissions top choice, second choice, third choice, and I've done this like in the lines a whole bunch of times, and assign 7 points to every top choice, 3 points to every middle choice, and 1 point to every third choice, and whatever the one with the most points is the winner.
Okay, what is the deadline, the internal deadline for us to vote?
So that's a good question. I've been working on this all along, so within, other than the stack I'm going to pick up tomorrow, I'll have to see what that looks like, but I can have this all done probably like a day or two after the deadline, because the deadline's the deadline, and I've been keeping up on it. So once I send it out to the committee, how long do you want to decide
I'd
on
say 2
that?
days,
2 days?
So-
Okay.
just to make sure everybody catches up with the emails.
I would
Okay.
say, yeah, I would go with Tuesday the 5th.
Good.
Okay, that
And
sounds
the only
good
reason
to
I
me.
say that is it's a Thursday and the weekend.
Yep.
Right, so that allows us time to do other things, but also get it coordinated and, so once we vote, the point system will take care of it. So there's not gonna
That's
be no
right.
hemming and hawing and back
That's
and
right.
forth after that.
However, speaking of hemming and hawing, I do want to say this. There is a caveat in the rules and regulations that says you may be asked to slightly change or modify something. So, I'm going to give you an example, and you tell me as a committee how you feel about this. A logo like this one. Let's say it's submitted, I'll show everybody, and everything that's shaded is orange. Where do we go if like the committee's sort of like, well, it'd be nice if that was red, white, and blue. Do you understand what I'm
Sure.
saying? So it is their design and it's their creation, but we don't love orange. How do we want to, once I send the submissions out to you, how much discussion do you want to have on things like that?
I don't want any discussion on the voting. I would like to see if we,
Because I'm going to tell you, having seen the submissions, you're going to say things like that. Like, I love that, but, so like for, another example might be, the logo, looks like, this. Easton 300, blah, blah, blah. And this part is like huge, and you may say, this is great, but it would be great if it was actually a circle. You know, can you make that a little bit smaller so it fits in a circle?
So when we do our voting,
Yes.
does the ballot have the ability to provide feedback?
I could do that.
Okay, so if we did it this way, so everyone gets the entries, we do our voting, and there's some mechanism for providing feedback. I love this, although I would alter that, right?
And maybe if the majority of the committee mentions the same thing, we just.
Right, and if it's a landslide vote, whatever. And then the other thing we're probably gonna have a conversation about, let alone color and that is, maybe there are some things we need to tweak for printing. There are just some logistical things within that sketch. I guess what I would say is, if the votes created, you know, we land on a winner, and then there's a couple of the same people saying the same concern, we reach out to them. If they say absolutely not, they're not going to. But if they say absolutely not, you can't change it, then second place wins the contest, and we just.
Okay, I think that's a great
You know,
point.
enough's enough, because this is kind of a roadblock to the next thing I wanted to talk about. So, okay, so 30th comes, we'll vote by next Tuesday, right? And then the open house comes and we're gonna announce it. Are we gonna print it, put it on anything? How do you
Yeah,
envision it?
that's a good question. So, so we did say that we were gonna make this announcement and award the prize. Did y'all get to see those?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And award the prize, at the open house. So I was thinking, should we invite, I mean, specifically invite, because of course anyone's invited to the open house, but should we send out a specific invitation to all submitters?
Yeah, because we have their email address. We should send an email saying, just a reminder, we're having the announcement and
Okay.
we'll be announcing the winner.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can do that.
Okay.
And then I was thinking of like downstairs when you walk in, that poster board type, the message we had about the contest, if we could put the winning logo on that, so for display purposes, there's an easel with the logo.
That's a really,
Pull
actually,
a-
I will have it printed by
And then
the
pull a
printer.
curtain
Yep,
off, and then
yep,
everyone goes
because
nuts.
it's gonna be our official logo, we'll be
Yeah.
using it again, so let's have a
grand unveil.
poster printed, yes. A foam core poster of the logo.
Okay.
Dave and Michelle, would you mind if I jump in for just a second?
Yes.
Is one of the two reasons I wanted to be here tonight. So Red Bull Promotions, who did
I had a sign for that.
the canopy tent, we donated those hats to the committee. I hope you're all wearing them proudly around town. And Mike, I was hoping to have a chance to talk to you, and hopefully we'll continue to get involved. I'm glad you got so many submissions for logo. That's terrific, and I'm glad there's some that people feel really good about. And I think I heard you say, Michelle, that part of the contest, let people know that if their logo was selected, there may be some minor changes that would have to be made in order for it to duplicate or replicate well?
Yes.
Okay. So Red Bull is a promotional products and recognition company, but we actually have a full-service advertising agency as our back end. So when you've chosen, what I would like to do is then take that logo, get it to our creative staff, and see what tweaks that they think need to be made. Not change the design at all.
Yep.
Right.
But whatever tweaks need to be made so that it will replicate on whatever surface it might need to be during the course of the next 2 years. We're gonna be doing stuff in 2024 and doing stuff in 2025. Once the final image is there, we'll need to create what's called a vector outline image for it so that it can be expanded or contracted and not lose. My company will do that for free. We'll take care of the fee for doing that. And we'll probably want to reproduce it, one as a monochrome and one as a full color. Because you may, and that gets back to your red, white, blue, orange, black.
Sure.
That's up to you to decide. But once you decide that, then we'll create vectorized images for both. If you wanted black
on a light background, or white, or some other color on a dark background, just a monochrome or a full color. We'll take care of doing all of that so that you've got replicatable images for whether it's a medallion you're going to strike, whether it's print materials you're gonna do. And I'm really glad that, I think Courtney brought it up first, the consistency of branding is extremely important. The logo needs to look exactly like the logo no matter what you put it on. And so that becomes a critical kind of foundational piece of it. We'll do everything we can to help you get that perfect, so that if Courtney's putting it on stuff that's going out for fundraising, you know, if Ken is putting it on something that's going to go to potential corporate sponsors, things, you know, you just want it to be consistent in terms of, and so we'll do that with you once you're ready to have that. Perfect.
That is such a nice offer. That vectorization is so important because, you know, this, like Brian said, like, it might be etching on a wine glass, or it might be a sticker. Such different uses for this. And I will say to the people who have submitted logos, some people are submitting them that way. They submit it in color, they submit it in a gray tone, they submit it in a watermark. So there's some real talent out there in Easton and beyond. And so, but hey, there's still 2 days left. So if you're working on something right now, finish it up. And if you're still thinking about it, go for it.
Exactly.
It's a $300 cash prize, which we will give away at the open house.
So, okay, I'll send a recap of what I was thinking for the unveiling, so to speak.
Okay.
It'll be very simple, but basically, even ahead of the actual analysis and the vectoring, we can just put it on a, you know, poster board and make a to-do about it.
That's not necessary now.
Right.
You want to get the message out there.
Exactly.
You refine it afterwards.
And then, so that dovetails into the next item, which is the marketing materials currently have really been, you know, everyone just kind of doing things. Obviously, it's fun. So what I'm talking about is like flyers, the rack cards. Once we have the logo, that allows us to then template. So moving forward, I think we should just get into and I think we have, they've pretty much been the same layout. So like that flyer behind Dave right now, in the future, instead of trying to communicate 600 different things, it'll just be the open house. The rest of it just stays the same, and kind of just, you know, the website, because I was looking at there's an email flying around, I don't know who's on it or who's not, but it's almost like a brochure trifold that was going to be used to announce the next open house, and there was some back and forth, is this approved and whatever. So I haven't put it on the Facebook page or on the Instagram because I didn't see anyone say, yes, go ahead. But to me, it's a lot to announce, just there's an open house. We're mentioning, have you seen that?
Are we talking about the blue one?
Yeah, and it's great, but for me, that right there behind you is all we need for an open house announcement. The logo, right now it's the town logo, that's fine, and then kind of here's where it's at, the time, the date, that's it, and the mention of the website. But again, after the logo contest, I think the marketing committee, I guess I'm talking to myself, should get serious about, let's build a template, so when we have announcements, that's how it goes out, and that's it. We don't have to hash it back and forth. The other item that I wanted to mention is I'm looking for volunteers. I think we're looking for volunteers in this committee, even amongst the group here, but more so folks that aren't involved currently. And what I'd like to do is set up, and this is kind of Michelle's suggestion request, kind of like a bi-weekly call. There might not be a lot to talk about between now and the end of the year, or even in the beginning of January, but once we kind of get going here, I think there will be enough between every 2 weeks to kind of get together and just have a 30-minute recap and make sure that all of the I's are dotted, T's are crossed. And then when we come to these meetings, I think others have said it, I think I could do a better job of just sending a recap of what has or hasn't happened since we last met, so that, you know, I'm not kind of doing it off the cuff like I'm doing now.
And I would say all committees should be doing that.
Yeah, and again, just like a 2-line blurb, here's what I did, here's what's pending, that kind of thing, so.
And, you know, those meetings can be, like Ken mentioned earlier, there's a lot of crossover here. So, you know, you might need somebody from sponsorship at a marketing meeting once over a 3-month period, and then have to ask them to come back, or.
And again, like when they get this, and I'm not saying, I know that when this is finalized, and I know that it was waiting on us, then I can post something, you know what I mean? Or we can update the website, not that I'm posting everything. So I guess that's kind of where I'm at, is just let's get through the logo contest and we'll move forward with
Sure.
kind of, template.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
I did want to say to the committee, something for you to think about. It may not be a very popular thing for me to say. Do whatever you can in between meetings, because there's a lot of stuff that we're talking about that could be resolved. We always seem to be trying to catch up to the agenda to make sure everybody has a voice at this meeting. The next thing, I put this on the agenda because I wanted you to give a brief report, Diane, about the cookbook.
You didn't have the events on there, which is mine, and I just had a quick events report, and I did email it
Let's go
out.
back to the cookbook. Go ahead, Diane. I want to follow the agenda.
But you left me off,
Well,
so we'll
no
come back
on
to it at
purpose.
the end.
Go ahead.
I'm up. Okay, we had discussed we would do a cookbook as a fundraiser. And Roz and I met multiple times.
4 hours.
And we.
Did you cook?
No, no.
Any wine?
What happens on Lamplighter Lane stays on Lamplighter
Fair enough.
Lane. Okay, so we decided to go with a company called Morris Press. We looked at several companies online. They're a large company in cookbook publishing. They had great reviews and the prices seemed reasonable. That's that. We reviewed a lot of samples and we, did you bring that, the book, the hardcover book? Yeah. And we decided to, we made a lot of decisions that we hope you'll approve. It seemed easier that way than having lots of discussion. So we chose a hardcover book. We can pass this around. This is what
That's
we'd
my
like.
maiden name.
Huh?
That's my maiden name.
Well, there you go. This is why we chose
That's the
it.
one.
Okay, so we chose a hardcover book. It won't look exactly like this, obviously. This was very, very, very expensive to print. So anyway, that's basically what we're going for. You can pass that around. We made some preliminary decisions on a cover, dividers, a font. We'll get into the details later. It's just too much to talk about. But we wonder, should it be called Easton 300 Cookbook or Easton 300 Tricentennial Cookbook? So sticking with the Easton 300, it should be Easton 300 Cookbook, no Tricentennial?
That's what I would think makes sense.
Is that what
Consistent.
makes sense? Okay. Does that have to be, Russ had a good question on that one about branding or logo. Copyright. No, we own that, we can say that, right?
Well, we haven't taken any steps. I mean, we have the domain, but we haven't done anything like with a trademark or copyright.
Yeah.
You were gonna look into that, weren't
I
you?
was, but haven't. So,
Okay.
When you get to the logo, because I'm assuming you're gonna put the logo on the cookbook.
Yes, it won't be on the cover, and I'll tell you
Okay,
what.
but it's gonna be in there, so that's when you
Yes.
need the copyright.
Okay. Yeah. So we figured we're going to print about 200 books, hoping to get 250 to 300 recipes, which I think we could. The books will run about $6 to $8 each. The profit potential will be $8 to $12 per book, depending on the final cost. If we sell them at $15 to $20, you know, we're not going to make a ton of money, but it'll be nice to have it out there, and we will make some money. So our thought is we're going to solicit recipes beginning February 1st through May 1. We'll create the solicitation info in January. We'll talk about that. I'll work with you on that one, because you're really good at those flyers. Then our question is, the submitted recipes, will they be returned by mail or email? If it's mail, can we use the P.O. box once we secure it? Or do they all have to be, how do we get the recipe?
I would
What's your
recommend
domain?
submissions, just keep everything via email.
Everything via email?
But then that does,
But at least
limits
some people
aren't
out.
on computers. Tuesday.
Yeah.
so I
Not
didn't
just
figure
that, but it'll clog up your email too.
Well, it's Michelle's email.
Well, well, actually, you had given me easton300@gmail.com. You said that was a mistake. Does that exist?
No, it's outlook.com.
No, I understand that, but initially you said to me easton300@gmail. Yes, you did. And
No, I know I did, it doesn't, no, it's not
Okay,
that.
so you did, but my question is, can we secure easton300@gmail.com?
Go ahead and try.
And have our own, huh?
Sure.
Yeah.
And then use, is that allowed? I mean, that's.
I think it'd be pretty confusing, I think it's probably better if we have one, but.
Well, I mean, do you want 300 people
I know.
emailing you? I
And you're
mean,
gonna have all kinds of business coming in, and you're gonna have
Yeah, I don't think it's a good
recipes
idea.
all of a
So I would-
sudden, like.
yeah, so I was, what do you think, Mike?
I think you should just create a one-off email address.
Yeah,
Just
like
create a
Easton
Cookbook, yeah.
Easton
Yeah,
300
exactly.
Yeah, actually, that's exactly what we were hoping we could
Yeah,
do.
so-
So we should explore that.
You should grab that as soon as you can.
Okay,
Not because-
okay.
Not that anyone's doing it. I don't think you should grab that.
Don't grab it.
Grab that.
You never know.
So we're hoping to get it all done by May 31st, and we'll order the books in June. It's an 8 to 10 week turnaround, and our thought is to start selling them in November of 2024, in time for the holidays, and
Into
all through
2025.
2025. So that's the spiel.
I think it's a great spiel.
Yeah.
I think you should probably have a meeting with, like Mike involved and Ken where,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, we
and-
will,
and,
yeah.
You know, fine-tune it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as far as the, you know, the company, the businesses in town, the restaurants and whatnot, submitting recipes, we'll get into the details later. We don't want to,
There's a couple of towns, Diane, that didn't call it a cookbook.
what they call it.
They call it, for instance, Easton 300 recipes.
Okay.
I'm just throwing that out.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're injecting doubt in this whole thing. It was all a nice little package.
We've already had about 40 hours into this.
No, I think it's great. I do think.
I like your cookbook.
There you go. Right answer.
I don't know, do people like cook? It's a collector's item. I mean, people, I mean,
which is.
I go on Google now. I have probably 50 cookbooks and I go to Google. to
I'm
find
gonna buy
whatever I
one.
want.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
you?
So you're
Are you
first
gonna
one.
cook? Oh, you.
It's got me like, oh, actually, you're not a cook.
Yeah.
Not great.
I can
It's
make-
interesting, Diane, the Early International magazine this month
Yeah,
was all on recipes,
well, give me a copy.
the whole book. I got it.
I think
Okay.
it's awesome. I think,
It'll be fun.
and I think you know, once you meet with like Ken and Mike or whatever, like, you might even, you just said collector's item. You might even be able to take it up a little notch, you know, depending upon.
Yeah,
like,
that's
one
why
of
we chose that cover. It's
Always
really
wanted
pretty
to be
nice.
Yeah, I mean, even if, I don't even know if there's an upgrade from that, but, you know, part of what Ken had talked about was, having restaurants who submit recipes be sponsors of the cookbook. So
Okay,
you could take it
we'll talk
up a
about
level,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. So
Diane,
that's
thank
the
you and your
spiel.
committee for
Here's
putting
my
this
committee.
together.
Here's my committee.
Thank you,
And I
committee.
think we'll
I told you.
we're pulling,
Yes.
we pull
Yes, I
Karen
said I would be
and
in
probably pick on.
You guys will have to
I wanna
taste
move
every
along
recipe.
because, we're running out of
Somebody's gotta
time.
do it, right?
Now that we finished one book, we're gonna go to another book. And I thought, Chris, you and your committee could give us an idea of what your plan is for the anniversary book.
Yeah, so super excited. I just started laying it all out. I'm gonna chat with Lisa after the meeting to kind of hit the ground with everything. But it's gonna have a very high-end look to it. It's gonna be more along the lines of like the Vogue magazine. And no disrespect to like the 275th guide and things like that, but we're gonna kind of update it a little bit more. And things that, you know, Dave and Michelle, we can chat about is things that are starting to come up as I'm starting to lay out the book is setting up all the different photography groups for the fire department, the police department. Because obviously that's gonna all take time.
Change.
And yeah, so we want to start kind of scheduling that.
And the guy you gotta touch base with is Ken too, because he's the president of the Historical Society.
You have a huge fan.
Did I tell anybody about my name change?
We will find you.
Yeah, but like, you know, some things like if anyone wants to submit an article, because in the other guides, they did have articles, and I thought something cool was, the 5 big landmarks that Richardson had done in Easton, the Gardener's Cottage, which I never really no one really focuses on, but that's one. So to kind of put an article together like that, and then I can photograph it, obviously. So obviously some of the town history, but I don't want to copy everything too that's in those guides. But they did have like the whole history, like a brief history of Easton and things like that. So just things to think about that Lisa and I can chat about, and then would we, kind of bring the preliminary guide to you guys to kind of take a look at it and let us know if we're on the right track with that guide. I was also thinking to have, and I know we have the Google Drive coming up, but having all the logos of the sponsors on the event, like when I put together the photographs from the events, to have their logos also on there. So they'll also get the ad, but then their logo will be on that page with the highlight photographs.
We should start a drive for that.
Yeah, and especially too, since I've been out there, like more so photographing some of the landscapes and landmarks of the town, to really kind of put them all in there, so that way, I know Amanda had reached out to me for some flyers and things like that, so that way I can have kind of everything centralized. But the big thing is just to kind of start coming up with different text and things like that, and scheduling of the photographic sessions with some of the groups in town.
Okay.
Good. Anybody have any questions?
Is it gonna be like a coffee table book, or have you not even
I was
decided?
planning on coffee
Okay.
table book.
Okay.
And I know the other book was 42 pages, roughly 42 pages long, but it didn't have photographs from the year's events. It was more so just kind of like the yearbook of, so it had like all the police department, they had the fire department,
So
they had all their
it was sold
headshots.
probably before.
Correct,
in
yeah, that's how I took it, because
anticipation
I just saw the PDF, that's why I had asked you for the hard copy. Yeah, lots to kind of think about, but now that we're kind of like digging deep into it and getting it laid out. I also thought it would be cool to have like a welcome message on the first page from, and I know Dave, you and I had gone back and forth with, town administrator or whatnot.
Support you, yeah.
Yeah.
Good enough, Chris. Thank you for getting that started.
Chris, are you getting a picture of the tree?
Yeah, I
Festival
haven't gotten
trees.
into that yet.
But you will?
Yeah.
Get a good photo.
The festival of trees.
Festival of
Yes.
trees.
I'm also hoping to get a photo of our committee at some point. I'd like to do it this year.
Well, we need a full committee
Yeah.
first.
We somehow will come up with a time.
And just give a heads up to everybody.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
also nice to do it like I've done Ames Free Library. I did their whole staff photograph when they were winning awards and things like that. I did them right in front of the Queesit. So just right downstairs in the main entrance outside. And it's really nice, yeah, so maybe like, I know you wanted to do it before the end of the year, but maybe like in the spring, when it's a little bit warmer out.
It's pretty.
The next item before we get to, I guess let's talk about the first day celebration. Thank you so much, Anne Marie Taylor, for being here tonight. I know Amanda couldn't make it.
No, Amanda couldn't make it tonight. So on this, it says the laser light show. So we're just kind of in a holding pattern on that, because we had wanted to reach out to the laser companies to get prices, book them. But I know that you're working on that. So as soon as you get that, hopefully we can book it, and our wonderful fundraising committee will gather those funds for us, because they're gonna be booked. So it's really something we have to get
It's only
on
a year away.
right
No.
now. If, and there's only so many of those companies out there. So that's something we really are looking forward to your feedback, Dave, and so we can get on that, and then timing and all of that. Everything else, we've got a little subcommittee, we're working diligently on that. Could use some more help, Karen. So, and then we'll hope to get more volunteers
I know the first fireworks company we met with, they do the laser light shows. They've
Right,
done them in all the surrounding towns.
right.
They're doing them in Walpole, the 15th of December.
Mm-hmm,
I'm gonna send you the email address of the company
okay,
and the contact person, and you can start talking to him.
okay. And is it okay that we just reach out to different companies and then
Yes.
get the feedback? Because we've been, we have been kind of waiting on that.
Yeah.
And then send it to you, and then it will go to all of you to see if we can secure the funding
Definitely.
and that. But I think that at least the deposit can be secured, so the date can be held, and then the rest will come after that.
We already have funds that have already been donated, correct? In other words, the fundraising is not gonna hold back this, if I understand correctly.
Right.
Okay,
So I think timing wise, I don't think we have to wait for those other sponsorships to come through, because there
Okay.
is, I don't know what the total is, but there are already funds available.
okay.
So
So
we
we'll
might-
have that information by the next meeting, now that I have approval to go ahead
Yes.
and pursue that with Amanda.
So,
Yeah.
one of the things that we
Sure.
left off the agenda was the events, and that I was gonna go to you on, we did take a tour of the,
We did take the tour of
Facilities.
the two schools, the high school and it's Blanche Ames School, which
Yes.
is lovely.
Yeah.
Great job to whoever designed that, they
Yep.
left nothing out. So we have decided with what we're going to be doing, that the high school would be a better location for us because it's more condensed. The auditorium is more, soundproof versus the other school, which is very spread out. And we love it, but I think that for us, the high school is the perfect place, especially with the laser light being like the pinnacle of the end of the day, that people will be there and they can just walk over to the stadium. So there'll be no transportation. The parking, we thought was a better fit for it and for everything we're doing. So we have decided on that location, but thank you for the tour. We really loved it, and I was thrilled. 'Cause I don't have any little ones anymore to go in there and see
spend so
it.
much time with us, and
Yes,
just
wonderful
lovely
person.
host.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you to David.
So I think that would be a great location for like a little arts festival, though.
And we do have an arts festival weekend,
Right.
so that's why the whole committee was asked if they wanted a tour, because, there's lots of Eastern Public
Right.
School facilities, and we do have a lot of events,
And
so-
then also the other reason too, for everyone, is because they have a field or a baseball field or whatever they use it for, but they don't have the bleachers. And he certainly was very kind in offering, like they do for the graduation, to get a hold of the DPW and get the bleachers moved, which I just thought was unnecessary and wonderful kind offer,
I know.
but unnecessary expense and unnecessary to move all those bleachers and to move them back where there may be lots of snow and ice. So, and it's right there, so
Right,
that's another
right.
reason. So, we'll update you more, as we get going, but the first thing I do need to secure is that, laser light show.
Thank you, Anne Marie.
Nice job.
The next thing, we're gonna go to our events. I know we're hoping to have our coordinators join us on the next TV show.
I did send out
We love a camera.
an events share report. So, right now it is all about like location. But I did meet with Peter Murata, the trustee at the Governor Ames Estate, and he was absolutely lovely and is completely on board with anything that we would like to do at the Governor Ames Estate throughout 2025, and really actually wants to, he's looking to really open the Governor Ames Estate up a little bit more to the Easton community. So he has approved the town picnic and the fireworks, so that's fantastic. Then we also, I met with David Twombly twice on the Easton Public Schools. And the other one is that we are, I've spoken with Connor Reed and Sean Dugan, who is the new assistant town administrator, and we are talking about Keach Park as a location for the bonfire. So right now, Chief Justin Alexander, the fire chief, did approve Keach Park. So as far as the fire department goes, it's been approved. It is town property, so that is the next step, is to make sure that the town approves of that. So
parking?
So most of these events are going to require, we've talked about this before, off-site parking, and that's where our Department of Health and Community Services has stepped in so kindly, and Southeastern Regional, to provide their vans and buses for off-site parking. So, for example, the town picnic and fireworks, that's gonna be a major parking issue. So, we're talking about off-site parking at, say, Town Hall, and then we will have those shuttle buses bringing people over, or from, another location.
But is there anywhere that doesn't require that, where we could host the bonfire?
I don't know if there's anywhere that doesn't require that for any of our events, like.
I think if you do, everything would have to be at the high school. It's like the
Yeah.
biggest, right, when you look at it.
And there isn't
Parking.
even that much parking there.
There isn't, no. But
Really?
I think logistics is something that definitely we need to start having conversations about
Absolutely,
before we
yes.
start.
But I think off-site parking is going to be a major part of our responsibility here.
I also think though that there is a difference between some places having 50 spots and other places having potentially like double that. I just know that Keach seems like, I don't know what the parking is there, it just seems small for a
That's why I think we're gonna have to have.
$25,000 level.
Yeah, that's why I think we're
Event.
going to have off-site parking for all of our events. So Langwater Farm is going to be a major part of the Arts and Culture Festival. They're gonna host the Monday part of that event. There's no way we can have thousands of people at parking.
But I do.
We'll need off-site parking for everything.
The one, I know that we're wrapping up, we're almost out of time, but to Courtney's point though, if I am, so I get it logistically, and the town owns the land and the fire department approves it, but if I'm paying 25,000 or whatever I'm paying, and I can't even get there, why am I, you know what I mean? So maybe we should have some.
And well, there's also, for example, Langwater that you brought up, there is limited parking there. However, I just saw when Blanche James had an open house there, they parked all down 138. Now that's still parking though, but you can't do that at Keach Park, something like that, because it's too narrow. So it theoretically would be better to have some place where the overflow parking is, where there are streets for overflow parking that allows people who are willing to walk, versus, and although shuttles are going to be necessary, I know personally, I wouldn't go, I'd probably just skip an event that required a shuttle.
I think all of the events are going to require shuttling. I can't think of one place in town, can you, that can accommodate the amount of cars that these events are gonna bring in? Can you? Because if so, we should have all our events at that place. I think we need off-site parking and shuttles for all of our events.
Definitely. I just would love to brainstorm about a place that had more parking.
I was looking at Portland State Park, but
Yeah.
I don't think
you
so.
need an
That's
act of
outside
God
it.
to get through the state on that, so.
Yeah.
That's a good parking lot though, but
They can house the vehicles.
they have the,
They're hoping that
event,
their
the wedding.
car show, they're gonna try to attract 300 vehicles. And they are gonna try to have a parade through town before they display all the vehicles.
That'd be fun.
So it'd be kind of a fun thing to do. Do you have anything else?
I don't, unless some of our guests
I'd
want
like to go to some of our
us.
guests, and of course, he has something that he would like to bring up.
Yeah,
My good friend here.
Steve?
looking for my sample here. So, one of the things we had talked about very early on was the commemorative pewter, the miniature pewter shovel, which there used to be a stock of them at the Historical Society years ago. Unfortunately, we weren't really able to figure out where they came from, who manufactured them, so on and so forth. I have, for many of you may not have ever even seen these. I'll pass it around. This is,
There's one at the Historical Society
Oh, yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah.
in a little thing of like coal or
Yeah,
something.
whatever.
No, that's
So
not it. That's
This
not-
is,
that's not
this
the
is
same
what
thing.
it will be. And since there were no records of where they had come from
Brian.
previously, sorry.
The place has been located.
Oh, haven't, okay, well, I've already been in touch with Hampshire Pewter.
Well, that might be the same place.
It might be. And so this is my family's, we had several of them. My youngest daughter had those for every table setting at her wedding.
Oh.
We bought up a lot of those. And we still had a couple, so I've already sent one to Pewter, to Hampshire Pewter, so they can see size, weight, casting, all the rest of that stuff. I sent a note to Dave, and it had a bunch of other stuff in it too. But the reason I wanted to talk tonight is we got the holidays coming up, and then we're into the first quarter of the new year. And so I hope I made enough. I'll pass these around.
Thank you.
What you will see is unusually, quantity is not what drives the cost of manufacturing for Hampshire Pewter. It's the time of the year that you order.
Interesting.
So if you order in the first quarter, which is their slowest part of the year, you get the best price. And the prices are per 200. Anything over that, you get a flat rate price from then on for as many as you want and reorders. But the reason is, the second quarter, they start to give you third quarter is the most expensive, and they won't do them in the fourth quarter because the holiday seasons are their biggest business. They do these beautiful, handcrafted pewter holiday ornaments, and they have hundreds of them. And we have some of those too. So what they'll do is they will cast them, they'll take care of all of the etching, and what I had talked to them about was it's pretty small on the shovel that I just passed around, but on the handle, it says Ames Shovel 1774, whatever the date is. On the blade of the shovel, the old ones had just, Easton Historical Society. The proposal would be that it would say, whether it's Tricentennial or Easton 300, whichever you want to do it, and then it'd have 1725 on the top of the blade, 2025 on the bottom of the blade, and so that's what they would look like. The nominal selling price for something like this, and they said 20 to 25, and I'm saying at 20, that's the way these prices are set. If you sell at 20 and you order a significant number of them and you do it in the first quarter, you make the most money to plow back into other events for the Easton 300. If we're gonna do it, we have to do it in the first quarter, or the cost really does escalate. And if there are others that don't sell during, they can go to the Historic Society and
Or you could
continue
use
the
them,
offer.
you could use them too as a favor at the gala.
Yes, you can, yeah, you absolutely could, and if they go away, when we do something like this through Red Ball, we'll usually do an item like this as a limited edition. Only so many, get yours while they last. But if you say that and then people are still wanting them and you want more, then you kind of spoil that incentive, and you really run the risk of offending people who bought it because they thought they were going to have one of 500, like a numbered lithograph or whatever. So I'm not sure that makes sense, but if they're going to be, part of the gala, whatever. I just want you to know that it becomes time sensitive in terms of deciding if you want to order them, and when you want to do it and what quantities. We'll work with you every step of the way to make sure. And I know these people, and they're really fantastic. So
Thank you, Brian. That is
that's it.
That's really valuable information, and it really shows us how close this event really is.
Yeah.
Because if, we won't be doing this in the first quarter of '25.
No.
And the first quarter of '24 is next
Right around
month.
the corner.
So, really appreciate
Sure.
you doing all that research and letting us know that it's something we should absolutely have on our next agenda for,
Yep.
a vote or.
Yeah, you got 3 months to play with here. I just wanted you to understand that your best options are the first quarter of the year.
Really,
Thank you.
please, thank
Sooner
you
the
so
better.
much, yes.
We have some guests that have joined us, and they've been sitting here tonight listening. And I'd like to ask them before we adjourn our meeting, is there anything you folks would like to say? Have you signed up yet to cheer anything? We do have a clipboard here. And
Yeah.
You guys are good at signups. I have a thought, and I hate to say this because I don't like suggesting problems without a solution, but I don't have a solution yet. But I'm gonna bring it up
Hey.
only because I want to support what Courtney mentioned. Keach Field is terrible, and I only say that because my daughter played softball there for a lot of times, and the parking just for softball was brutal. Now I live on Sheridan Street, and just getting to Keach Field from Sheridan Street is a long drive, and I'm trying to think of where you would have parking closer than Sheridan Street. So the logistics of trying to potentially bring 500 or 1,000 people via buses, I don't know how you're going to get them there and unload them and turn them around and get back out in a timely fashion. The logistics is a nightmare.
So my solution to your problem is come up with a place to
Yeah.
have the bonfire.
Right.
Because I agree, but
Yeah.
this is a
Sure.
fire. So we are very limited because I just got a text from someone at this table asking, what about the NRT approached? Not doing it, you know,
Yeah.
so like, we're thinking about tree overhang, we're thinking about
Is the-
parking, we're
is the
thinking
school
about.
out? Is the high school out? Because that's where it used to be. Is it out?
That we can find out, but
I'm just asking.
it's 50 by 50 feet
Okay.
of burned up grass that you have to be willing to let go of.
So school will never do that.
No.
Yeah.
So,
So no, I'll think about it more, and I feel
so
bad, but like,
all of us brainstorm.
Courtney got shut down kind of quick on that, and I think she's
like that.
right in this case. Like
I
it's
don't think it's just the parking. I
Oh.
think it's the fact that, this isn't like an obstacle course and maybe
Yeah.
we're gonna muck it up a little.
right. No, it's a
Some
fire.
Huge fire.
Yeah, no,
So
you're not wrong.
This
But
bonfire has probably been the most, hard one to get to.
right.
Yeah, I thought the fireworks would be, but the bonfire is going to be a little bit more challenging.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be meeting with the fire chief next Wednesday, and we're gonna take a ride around town. He's excited about doing a bonfire.
It was his idea, he proposed it to the Lions like a couple years ago with the whole s'mores event. But I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn because it's 7:56 and we are supposed to be done at 7:45.
No, before you make that motion, I did want to remind those folks out there that may be watching this meeting, we hope that you stayed awake. And we also would like to remind you that on December 12th, it's a VFW, and thank you for hosting. We're going to invite people in the community to come and join us. We also are looking for volunteers to get involved. That's a good night. Come to the open house. There'll be a clipboard there to sign volunteers out. Let me remind you that it takes 25 volunteers just to run a parade. So when you think about all these events, how important it is. I thank our committee appointed by the select board.
Next meeting is?
And I thank the other folks who were appointed by our committee to join us and be part of it. Now I'd like to call for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We got a motion, and we got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion is carried. Our next meeting during the month of December, December 12th, and the December 12th, the open house.
Right.
And our next meeting is on December 26th. Thank you for joining us.
It is?
It is.
December 26th.
The day after Christmas?
That's correct.
Brian,